pride about being from Delco, not just being from Upper Darby or Ridley Township or Radnor or whatever, but there's a pride in the county. And I think that's because of the size of the county. It's not from a mile standpoint, it's not a huge county. So, and you get to know the athletes from the other schools. So anytime you're competing outside the county, you kind of stick to, because you're from Delco.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DELCO Cross Country Podcast. It is this premiere of Season 2. First, I can't believe I got to Season 2. I also have to go and correct myself from all the falsehoods that I preached in Season 1, that I would have some sort of a podcast, some sort of surprise within the track season, some sort of breakdown of what's happening in the track season. I actually had a lot of coaches come up to me at certain track meets, whether it was at the Armour or at Penn State or at Shippensburg or even just in the backyards of Haverford. And they came up to me and they said, when are you going to record another podcast? And at that point, I think I explained to them that the track season really took over and really consumed all of me throughout all of last year, especially during the track seasons, especially as the head coach of Bonner and Prendy on the girls' end. That I could not have the time or find the time to record a podcast for just a special track preview. While I did take notes for certain podcasts, I was never actually able to break it down. So here's my breaking things down for you. Welcome to the DELCO Cross Country Podcast. With you as always is your host. I am Kevin Key. As I said, former head coach of the Bonner and Prendy track and field teams and cross country teams, specifically the girls programs this past year. Listen, best part about running this podcast, and I've said this to a number of you already, specifically in Season 1, is getting to know and understand the athletes, the coaches, and the parents. And the fact that so many people came up to me during the track seasons and spoke of what was coming up and spoke about distance running in general and really wanting another podcast that speaks volumes about Delaware County. It speaks volumes about what Terry Toohey preached in my opening here. And if you've missed that interview, that is a Season 1 interview, fantastic interview with Terry Toohey. I would check that out if you're recapping now. But we're from Delco. There's a pride in that. There's a pride from being from Delaware County, specifically when it comes to sports and being competitive with one another. We constantly know each other. We constantly find out about each other. And we're constantly now in communication. So that is the beauty of this podcast, was building that community with different teams, different programs, and knowing that people were out there and listening. So much so that I looked at my stats just from this past week. And somehow I have one listener this week recording this season premiere podcast. So that one listener, I want to thank you. I do not know who you are, but my one listener, once again, thank you again. I'm excited to break down Season 2 of this 2024 cross-country season. Listen, Delco Cross Country, last year it showed us that big competitiveness between teams, some surprises thrown in there as well. This year, you're up for a lot of those same surprises. So I'm going to break down different things. First off, DELCO Championships. Kind of like a pride of Delco Cross Country in years past. There has been a change, and that email was sent to me last week by the Delco Road Runners Club. That change is on September 28th, which is 1 week prior to the Paul Short meet at Lehigh University. Some of us are like, hey, that might not be a big deal, but that also might affect plans going into DELCO Championships. So these rankings can go for a total loop. It just depends on what coaches and their teams decide to do on that day. So I'm going to break down our rankings. I'm going to break down what happened and how seniors are removed. Now, those graduating class of 2024 are now gone, and there were a lot of them within the top 15 in both the girls and the boys races this past year. Those seniors have now graduated, and how it's going to impact our team scores, our team rankings. So if you're listening for the first time, let's break down the 2023 season. The 2023 season in Delaware County was won on the boys' end by Pencrest, scoring 41 total points. Pencrest was followed briefly by Episcopal Academy, who scored 75. Now you might look at this and say, hey, you're going to look at EA. You're going to look at Pencrest as top programs. Sure, let's look at that and let's dive into that a little bit more. Pencrest is going to lose one of their top 15 athletes, one of the people who finished within the top 15 in Delaware County. And that is now graduated Brendan Heffernan, who is now out for Pencrest, which is going to change your score. If you've ever been and a lot of you are listening, know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to scoring in cross country. Some of you are brand new to this. I might have some freshman parents. I might have some sophomore parents who've never seen this sport before, have no idea what this sport is. This sport is composed of multiple races. You have a varsity race, a JV race, sometimes a freshman or a novice race. Within those races, there's a team score. And within that team score, on a varsity level, a varsity team is allowed to have 7 athletes start on the line. In order to score in a cross-country meet, 5 of those athletes have to finish and cross the finish line. So 5 of the 7 have to get there in some way. And a lot like golf, it's that lowest score wins. And how you do this is scoring points-wise, you take it based off the place of your top 5 athletes. For instance, last year, Radnor's Luke Bodden, he finished first at Delaware County Championships. Luke has now graduated since then, but he finished first, earning 1 point for Radnor. Dawson French, he was from Episcopal Academy, another senior. He finished 6th overall in that race, earning 6 points for Episcopal Academy. You had Marple Newtown Ricky Lee finishing 9th last year, earning them 9 points. And when you add their finishing points, their total points together for the top 5, you will get a score. For instance, like I said, Pencrest last year with 41 points. Episcopal Academy last year with 75 points. Ridley Township with 78 points. Haverford boys, who were a surprise last year, should not be a surprise this year with 82 points. And Radnor finishing 5th at 135 points. So you add up the totals of those teams. So now you're asking, hey, what's the point of runners 6 and 7? If it's only the top 5 who score, what's the point of having 2 other members of this team on a starting line? Why not throw them in a JV race or a novice race if they're novice, or a freshman race if they're freshmen? Let them be freshmen. And there's a point of having a 6th and 7th runner. And the point is, if you are tied with another team after 5 runners, this is the issue that Cardinal O'Hara ran into in state championships. I can say this because, once again, I was an assistant coach on that program at that time. Cardinal O'Hara tied with the team in first at the time. I believe it was Westchester Henderson was one of the 2 teams in which they've tied with, and they've lost in the tie. The tie goes down to the 6th runner and where the 6th runner places. If your 6th runner tops their 6th runner, you are going to win the meet. However, if it's vice versa, you lose the meet. Just sorry for my O'Hara listeners. O'Hara did that year with Westchester Henderson, and they did it again the year after, which was absolutely insane. So the top 7 really, really do matter, specifically in those big invitational meets, those big championships meets. It also shows the depth of your team. I love a team that has depth not only in the varsity race, but has depth in a JV race, that has depth in a novice or a freshman race. And we've seen that depth out of teams like Haverford and Strathaven for many, many, many years. You saw that depth out of Cardinal O'Hara for many years when they were in the top seeded in Delaware County. So you'll notice this depth is really important when it comes to cross country. Speaking about team scores, I'm going to go into the girls' team score real quick. Like I said, boys' team score was won by Pencrest, who won the meet with 41 points, and they will lose one of their top 15 athletes. On the girls' end, it was the team of Haverford Township with 46 points, followed by Springfield, followed by Strathaven, followed by Marple, followed by Pencrest. That's Springfield with 116, Strathaven with 127, Marple with 147, and Pencrest with 163. Now, you're losing a lot in the top 15 on both the boys' end and the girls' end. For instance, on the boys' end, you lose Bodden. You lose Dawson French from Episcopal Academy, Ricky Lee from Marple Newtown. That is finishers 1, 6, and 9. You lose Pencrest, Brendan Heffernan at 11. You lose Curtis Connor from Episcopal Academy at 12. That's 2 of the top 15 finishers for Episcopal that are now pulled from this meet. Not to mention numbers 16, 17, 18, and 19, all graduating seniors at this point. So once again, this boys meet, this boys team scenario shakes up a lot in cross country this year. So I'm going to give you our way too early ranking shortly. On the girls' end, you lose someone like a Chloe Brown, who finished 3rd overall for Strathaven last year. You lose 4th overall Radner Zoe Margolis, a state medalist in cross country. You lose Pencrest Keely Aiken. You lose Upper Darby's Lorelei Golembuski. Not to mention losing numbers finisher 17, finisher number 20, 21, and 22. Another huge shakeup in these rankings, which are going to throw things for a loop. Another thing that's going to throw things for a loop when it comes to rankings, and I said this last year on our premiere episode, and I'm going to repeat it. These rankings are based off of last year's performances. And there are people who run faster on the course at Lehigh, that Paul Shore course, that District 1 course, versus running on Belmont Plateau, which is the District 12 course, which is the Philadelphia Catholic League Championship course. A lot of the Philadelphia Catholic League meets are run, versus Rose Tree Park, where you have a lot of the Central League meets, you have Central League Championships, you have DELCO Championships. Not all courses are created equal, and we know this for sure. We've seen the times drop in certain places. We know which courses are hilly with a lot of uphill. We know which courses are very flat and very downhill. So breaking this down is based off of the rankings from last year and where the returners from these teams come back. So my way too early power rankings are for sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are now coming into the 2024 season. This does not include freshmen that are coming in, because I know Episcopal Academy has a stellar freshman coming in, and I know how much talent that freshman has. This does not include any sophomores that did not run cross country a year ago, had excellent track seasons, because I know Springfield girls had at least two girls that ran track last year that had very good distance running seasons that could bring it into the cross country season if they decide to run cross country. This does not bring them into the picture because I do not have times for them. The other thing that this does not bring into the picture is transfers. And I know this is up for debate. I know this is a huge discussion point. I know teams are all over this at times, specifically when in regards to the PIAA. I also know that there were at least 3 big-time transfers this summer when it comes to cross-country or track. For instance, I know that Archbishop Woods Gwen Hamilton has now officially transferred over to Penn Charter High School. So there are some transfers that have happened that are going to definitely shake up certain programs and make programs better. I would look at programs that might be outside of the PIAA getting those transfers in. You might see transfers out of Notre Dame, out of Episcopal Academy, these teams that are not part of that PIAA ranking, looking to better themselves each and every week. So keep an eye out for those transfers as well, because that is what's definitely going to shake what could be potentially seen in a cross-country year this year. Now it's time for my way too early power rankings. This is way too early, as I've stated. It is August 2nd as I record this podcast. There has not been one practice that is official on a cross-country course yet. There's not been one meet that has been run yet. This is way too early power rankings. Way too early, so take it as it is. On the boys' end, these power rankings include, number 1, I always go with my top 5 power rankings. Number 1 is the returning champion, Pencrest. Pencrest loses 1 off of their top 15 last year. They did show some depth, and they currently sit at probably about 50 points at DELCO Championships with their returners. Number 2 sits Haverford Township High School. Haverford had a great season, a underdog season in 2023. They came out. I did show some doubt on that boys' end last year, and they went and they proved me wrong when it came to DELCO Championships, finishing within the top 4 and only losing to a strong Ridley team by 4 points, only losing to a strong Episcopal Academy team by 7 points. So Haverford I have ranked second right now, and they are not far behind Pencrest. They're at 61 total points. Another team not far behind, because this top 4 is going to be tight, just like it was a year ago. Get ready for it. The boys' race at DELCO Championships could be one to watch on the team end, just like it was a year ago. At number 3, I have Episcopal Academy with 70 points. Now, once again, this is not bringing in the potential of transfers. This is not bringing in the potential of the stud freshmen that will come in and change a program, kind of like a Rowan Carr did last year for Pencrest. Someone who could break them over the top. Number 4 right now, I do have the team from Ridley Township with 89 points, and having someone like Joey Lancy and Jackson Kane returning for this program is going to be huge. You have those top 2. Now let's see what they can do with those athletes 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Because in reality, you can have these strong 2 up front, but when it comes to cross country, the most important athletes on that course are where those 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 finish, much like Pencrest finished with strong leadership up front last year with those 41 points. And rounding out my top 5 of the way too early power rankings, had the team from Radnor High School. And right now I have them at 188. Things can balance here. Things can change when it comes to DELCO Championships, clearly. So when you look at these rankings, there's a lot of things that can be thrown right in the mix there. On the girls' end, if you are looking at rankings, you're looking at the team from Haverford, who is returning all of their top runners from last year. They scored 46 points a year ago. They're looking to score a total of about 40 points this year. They have their front runners. They have those athletes like an Olivia Cieslak. They have those runners like a Cameron McGeehan. You have Micah Haskins returning. Once again, you never know what's going to happen when it comes to incoming freshmen on a program, specifically when it comes to Haverford, because they continue to build up each and every year. So keep an eye out for that team, clearly within the top ranking-wise in Delaware County. They should definitely be the team to watch. They're definitely a team to watch within the state title as well. So keep an eye out there, as right now in the state rankings, the team from Haverford is going to be sitting at 5th place total. Like I said, you have an Olivia Cieslak, you have a Cameron McGeehan, you have a Micah Haskins, you have a Ryan Dankinas, you have a Prue Friend. Right now you are ranked within the top 5 in the state of Pennsylvania in the 3A race. So keep an eye out once again for Haverford, who is ranked 1. The team that sticks out to me, the team that constantly runs with kind of like gusto, runs with like they're running from something or for something, is the team from Springfield. And Springfield, once again, ranked 2nd overall right now in DELCO Championships. Right now, they are ranked with 84 points with their returners, and you have Sophia Curtis returning. You have Anastasia Milana returning. You have Sarah Emsch returning. You have Shannon Scott returning. You have Lauren Duffy returning within their top 5 from last year, or their varsity from last year. But also you need to look at potential, these freshmen who had stellar seasons a year ago could also return and bolster them up in the ranking system again. And they kind of run, like I said, to prove people wrong. And that team from Springfield right now I have ranked 2nd in Delaware County. I also have the team from Garnet Valley in 3rd place right now. Garnet Valley has talent coming back from last year. They have Avery Lustgarden, who would be ranked 8th right now in Delaware County. I have them at 113 points. You have Lustgarden, Grimelbean, who ran last year. She'd be ranked 17th in Delaware County. You have Rachel Hicks, Lily Mellinger, and Elena Bryan. Once again, I'm sorry that I butcher names at times. But you also have someone like a Heaven Data. These athletes who continue to push each other forward onto the next level. in fourth place in the power rankings, and I see them being moved up again. I see this team as another one that is going to surprise people. The team from Notre Dame, the Academy of Notre Dame. Athletes like Mary Rosano and Kara Sweeney coming back, and Mary proving a lot of people wrong a year ago, specifically on the track. I saw her DELCO Championships in the mile last year. I believe it was the mile last year. Mary Rosano had a great, stellar season for the Academy of Notre Dame, and I think she wants to keep that going. Like I said, Kara Sweeney is also a returner, Chloe Calvert, Carson Tierney. These are all names that I mentioned just a year ago. So once again, look out for that team from Notre Dame. And rounding out the top 5 in the power rankings right now, who'd be scoring about 187 if just these athletes came back, would be Episcopal Academy. Returning once again, someone like a Kendra Williamson, who is ranked 6th in Delaware County right now. Hannah Todd, Joy Ying. These are athletes in which, once again, I brought to the attention last year in the DELCO podcast. But I would not be surprised if Episcopal has some puzzle pieces coming in this year that is going to push them within a challenge for the top 2, 3, 1, potentially at DELCO Championships. So keep an eye out for these programs, specifically in the top 5. Like I said, this isn't me counting out any teams. I still think Radnor has a strong program. Agnes Irwin has a strong program. I can never discount Strathaven. I can never discount Marple Newtown, who has their 2 Lizzie Getz and Allie Pavone coming back this year. Their big 2 coming back. And I never discount a team from Pencrest either. Once again, this program continues to get better. So Delaware County, once again, continues to build up to be better. And like I said, this is way too early of a power ranking. These power rankings can change as soon as week 1 hits, and you can all prove me wrong, specifically when freshmen and transfers come in and show us DELCO is really all about. Now, I do want to go back to DELCO Championships, which is on September 28th, because this could throw a few curveballs at people when it comes to the meet at Rose Tree Park now in September, which is 1 week prior to Paul's Short. There are 2 overlapping meets on September 28th that I know in years past teams from Delaware County attended. And I know this because I would break down DELCO Championships when I coached cross country for Prendy. I know this based on running this podcast a year ago. I do my research. I break things down. There are overlapping meets that are going to affect which teams compete at DELCO Championships. So keep an eye on these meets. Right now, the way too early rankings. And right now, these overlapping meets are meets like the Carlisle Invitational, which brings out top competition from other schools all over Pennsylvania. This is kind of like overlapping with the Foundation Invitational in Hershey, which would be the week prior. You'd be running into these top teams from Pennsylvania, from Maryland, from Virginia, from New York, that potentially you want to go and you want to rank yourselves against when it comes to a preview of state championships, maybe even looking at a national championship berth. So you never know where people are going to go here. And Carlisle Invitational does have 1 team from Delaware County that is entered in this meet so far, just on my quick research on Mile Split. And that 1 team is the favorite on the girls' end and the second favorite on the boys' end. That team is the team from Haverford Township High School. So be aware that right now, Haverford is scheduled for the Carlisle Invitational on the same day as DELCO Championships. And be aware, once again, Six Flags meet, another meet that's fun for athletes. And if you're not one of those top teams a lot of times, that's a meet you want to go to and have fun with your athletes and get them to enjoy even going to the park after they race. And a team that has been known to do this is a team that has played spoiler for other teams in the past and have taken away points of team in the past. And that team is also right now scheduled to attend the Six Flags Invitational in Upper Darby. So, and I've seen Upper Darby girls, Lorelei Golombuski, one of the most recent ones, to take points away from teams on the team end. So once again, I would not be surprised if this is going to not only affect how DELCO Championships is run on September 28th, I would not be surprised if you see teams start to question things. So being now in September, because the mindset of a coach is championship season is in October. And that has been the mindset. That was my mindset for years as a head coach. The preseason is September. The championship season is in October. And I continued to push this to my athletes for years. You can ask them. They will all tell you the same thing. I always stated October was championship season. So this might go and play with the mind of some coaches, with the minds of some teams, and change how DELCO Championships is run this year. So while, yes, it may have been a good decision to move because you're looking that you don't want to compete against Paul Short, where a lot of DELCO teams would like to go to, where a lot of DELCO teams like to perform because it's the same course as District 1 championships, now we're running into a potential problem of, hey, maybe we don't put our top team on the line at DELCO Championships. Not only that, but maybe we don't bring our team to DELCO Championships. And that is what we need to look out for. There's a lot going into this season. There's a lot of storylines, and there is a lot of drama that could be coming ahead for this upcoming cross-country season. Ready. I'm all about it. I'm excited to go. I'm excited to rock and roll and see what meets are coming up and what is going to be overall the end ranking in Delaware County, the end ranking in the PIAA, the end ranking in both state championships, the independent and the public schools and Catholic schools in championship season when it comes to state championships overall. So there's a lot to look out for. There's a lot to eye up coming up. Just be aware that things change every week in Delaware County. Be ready for these different transfers coming in, these different freshmen coming in and changing the storyline for some of these teams. And be ready for a change each and every week, as there's nothing that keeps any team holding back from looking to better where they were a year ago. The official DELCO scrimmage, which is held every year at Rose Tree Park, is also scheduled to be hosted on August 27th. The race times for this scrimmage is the girls' race would go off at about 4 o'clock. The boys' race would go off at about 4:45. There is no actual invitation to this. This is literally show up, run as much as you want to run, and they'll call out times at the finish line, but no one's going to actually record them. Athletes do not have to run the entire course. They may stop anywhere they wish. Years ago, I made this my time trial, and we stopped at mile 2 as my time trial for this race. You are allowed to wear spikes for this meet. You do not need to wear your uniform because there's no cost for this meet. It is a scrimmage, and note, there is going to be a trainer at the scrimmage. So that actually helps out a lot more. Any questions, please make sure you get a hold of Coach Corin for this meet. I think you all know his email at this point. August 27th. Looks like I'm going to have to mark something on my calendar early to try to be there for DELCO scrimmage on that day and see what people have going into this year. Maybe get a little bit more conversation with coaches and parents. Once again, thank you for listening to this premiere episode of Season 2. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at DELCO XC Pod. You can email me, delcoxc@gmail.com. Let me know how you're doing. And if you want to join, if you want to jump in, if you want to give your 2 cents, I'm more than willing to take emails. I'm more than willing to take text messages. I'm more than willing to sit down and have an interview with you to get your point across to see how this DELCO season is going to go. Until next time, I don't know when next time's going to be. It might actually be the DELCO scrimmage date. Until next time, this is Kevin Key, and I'm signing off, and I'm going to tell y'all to move.